So we've got a busy forecast as we move towards the weekend. I think by now people know that we have Tropical Storm Nate that's in the Caribbean. It's going to move between the Yucatan Peninsula and Cuba over the next hour or two. It will reemerge within 6 hours into the Gulf of Mexico. Nate's coming towards us. Second part to that is we have a really solid storm system over the plains. It's producing severe weather right now in the western part of Kansas. That system is moving towards us, and I think where we have been very, very quiet with our weather here over the last, basically couple of weeks, that ends. It is going to be a busy weekend, and I really felt like what I wanted to discuss in tonight's Facebook Live video is the severe weather potential as we move into this weekend. And I have some concerns with respect to severe. I think we're going to see some in the area. And I even think that an isolated spin-up is actually on the table. So I felt like this is something that's worth discussing in tonight's Facebook Live video. So before we jump into this discussion, as we always do on every Facebook video, what I always ask you guys is, we team up in a Facebook Live video on a regular basis. And what I mean by that is you guys help me reach as many people as possible. So the goal of my video is simple, to reach as many people as I can. And the way we do that, guys, is by you helping me share the video. The more times you share the video, the more people that I can reach. The more people that I can reach, the more effective I am at communicating any concerns. So what I would ask you guys to do is, if you can, let me know. 1,000 shares if we make it tonight's 109 nights in a row above 1,000 shares, I believe. Thumbs up. Can we make it over 1,000 shares tonight? It would ask a lot of you because each person would have to share the video 5 times each. I'm going to throw 2 in real quickly. I know that's a lot to ask, but if you guys think we're going to get up over 1,000, if you guys are willing to commit to 5 shares each, throw me some thumbs up on the screen. And we will see if we should go for it. Looks like I'm seeing a number of thumbs up. Number of people throwing thumbs up across the screen. And you guys can see when you start to share, the number of eyeballs in there on our video starts to increase. So it's simply a fact that the more you guys share, the more people that I can reach with my video, and the more effective I am at basic, simple communicating things like threat for severe. So getting a number of thumbs up across the screen, looks like we're going to make a roll at this. The goal tonight is 1,000 shares. If we make it, we make it for the 109th night in a row. We've been above 1,000 shares now for what is a remarkable almost 10 months now, actually over 10 months. It was interesting. This year we kind of were slowly but surely getting more and more people into our video, and I would set a share goal on a nightly basis. And you guys, I was like, well, let's get to 100. You guys blew that away. Oh, let's get to 200. You guys blew that away. Well, let's get to 500. You guys threw down 1,000. So I was like, you know what? And you guys are killing it. Let's just see if we can do 1,000. And what we did is you guys threw down 1,000 virtually every single night. And so I was like, you know what? Let's just set the standing rule as let's aim for 1,000 every Facebook video. And since then, you guys have thrown down 1,000 every night. The question was, can I share multiple times? Yeah. Does it count? Absolutely. So can you share 1,000 times yourself? Yeah. Probably shouldn't because you're going to make your friends mad, but sure, throw down 5 shares each person. Let's get ourselves up to the share goal, and let's start our discussion. So what we're going to be doing is active weekend. I really think it's going to be a rather active weekend. I think we've got heavy rain potential. And I'm going to tell you something. The Storms Prediction Center does not have us in an organized severe weather threat on Saturday, and I think they're wrong. I think you guys know by now that I don't really care. I call it like I see it. If I think it's right or wrong, I just try to give you guys my thoughts. And I think that our area should be under a slight risk tomorrow. My opinion is I would include almost all of our southern Indiana counties, and I would draw it along and at least west of I-65. I do think that we're going to see some severe weather tomorrow. So what I want to start by doing is let's start by discussing Nate. So let's take a look at where Nate is, where Nate's going, and then what we're going to do is jump into the severe weather threat. I mean, it's pretty obvious when you look at Nate Somebody said, why are we making a big deal about a storm that hasn't even formed? So you can see, this is Nate. And in fact, Nate has formed. And in fact, Nate is almost a hurricane. So are we making a big deal about a storm that doesn't exist? I'm just telling you the info. And second, the storm does exist. You can see between Cuba and the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico, you have Nate. Nate's actually looking pretty solid right now. You can see what we have seen differently over the last 12 hours is around the core of this thing, you can see that there are a lot more of these bright clouds around it. It means the convection, the thunderstorms are much closer to the center than they were. And normally what will happen in this period is you will commence into either intensification or even conceivably what could be rapid intensification. We do know that the waters of the Gulf of Mexico are actually quite warm, and as it appears, the center is going to miss the landmass here. So this will then emerge into the Gulf of Mexico and then ultimately move towards the Gulf Coast of the U.S. Here's the thing that's important, is the wind or the speed is 22 miles an hour. And this means this thing will traverse the Gulf of Mexico very, very, very quickly. So there's a positive in that. It means it's going to not have as much time over this very warm ocean water. But the latest data suggests this thing's going to go into somewhere between Louisiana, southern Mississippi, and the extreme southern part of Alabama. Likely is, I would say, at least a Category 1 hurricane. I could see it conceivably being a little bit stronger than that. This is not in the same league as what we're talking about with Irma, not in the same league of what Maria was, not in the same league as what Harvey was. But with that said, you know what? Anytime you have a tropical storm or a hurricane, you need to take it seriously and respect these things. So what you will notice is that ultimately this fellow is going to head up into the southeastern part of Kentucky, and that ultimately means that we are going to absolutely see some impacts from it in terms of rain. I felt like I needed to discuss that, but I will tell you that is not the storm that we're talking about as a concern for tomorrow. That storm is a much different animal. That storm right now is near the Four Corners out in Colorado, northern New Mexico, Utah, Arizona. This thing is kicking out some nasty storms in parts of Kansas where some are severe. Some have been tornado warned at times and continue to be. So when we assess the severe weather threat, what we look for is wind energy. We need to have winds somewhere in the lower part of the atmosphere above 35 knots or 40 miles an hour. We need to have fuel, and we need to have something to actually force those storms. Well, this upper level low is going to go right overhead. So the forcing is absolutely there. To get fuel, we need warmth. And what you see around the area is actually, for this time of the year, you know, at 78 in Louisville at 8 p.m. is still very, very warm. And you can see the 85 in Dallas. Secondly, where we actually have strong to severe right now off to the west, you can see those temperatures are in the 70s in Wichita. So this is actually more than enough warmth to generate some fuel. Second part to that is, will the dew points be high? Well, what you'll notice is the dew points are actually really high as you look towards Wichita. And most of the data shows that our dew points are going to surge into the mid and upper 60s tomorrow, meaning that it will become more humid. But I'm noticing there's a little ruckus going on down there, so let me see if I can block whoever is down there causing trouble. Is it Rebecca, guys, that's causing trouble? Let me know yes or no. If it is, I'll give the boot real quick. Oh, it looks like somebody's saying Nate. Rebecca is in here causing trouble. Rebecca, you're going to get booted real quick. Let me see, make sure I can do this. Mute or block Rebecca. But Rebecca is gone. Okay, guys, I got the name. She is now indeed blocked from the video. I told you guys I'm not going to play around with this stuff at all. You know what? I have said it a million times. I'll say it one last time. There is hate going on everywhere. Do it somewhere else. You're not invited. You're not wanted if you're going to spew hate in here and be difficult and rude. We don't want you. We simply don't. So that stuff is not going to be tolerated, period, in here. So she's out. And she's not going to be allowed back in here anymore. So, you know what? The sad thing of that kind of stuff is, you know what? In the scheme of people's lives, you're going to need weather. And really, you thought it was a good idea to spam the weatherman and all the people in there just to be rude, difficult, make inappropriate comments. And then what happens when you actually need to get that weather info? Now you're not allowed in anymore. I mean, really? It just seems ridiculous to do, but whatever, if that's what somebody decides, then not invited anymore. Moving back on, so we talked about fuel. Let's get back to that. It's going to be warm tomorrow. Dew points are going to surge. And what I'm going to show you here is the fuel amounts. This is what we call the CAPE. CAPE is basically fuel. In a traditional severe weather scenario, we need to see about 1,000 units of fuel or more to see organized severe. And what you're going to see here is while those fuel values surge tomorrow, they never really reach those values of about 1,000 units. And I can tell you that absolutely is indeed the limiting factor for tomorrow. Are we going to see enough fuel? And my opinion is yes, but we're not looking at a ton that would have caused much more significant problems. Fuel continues watch through about midnight and then wanes after midnight. So what we're going to do is focus on that time frame after about 3 p.m. tomorrow through about midnight tomorrow when we actually have some fuel in the area. What does the wind energy look like in this time frame? Well, you can see this is a wind a mile above the ground. And I said that the winds in this neighborhood need to be above 35 miles an hour, and they are easily above that. Notice most of the data is showing about 40 mile an hour winds, about a mile above the ground, and you can see as we move into the evening, these winds really kick up a mile above the ground. So if you're saying, oh no, the data is showing 55 mile an hour winds in Louisville. Look, unless you live a mile above the ground in Louisville, which I'm pretty sure not a single person in Louisville lives a mile above the ground, these are not ground winds. These are winds above the surface. And thunderstorms can then transport some of this fuel or some of this wind energy down to the ground. So what's important here to note is the wind energy is indeed available. Now I will tell you at the same time you have a wind out of the south-southeast at the surface. So the winds are shifting as you go upward in the atmosphere. This is a key because I feel like even with minimal fuel tomorrow, I feel like the wind energy is highly supportive of severe weather. And you can see that wind energy after about midnight really starts to wane, in particular as we move towards Sunday morning. So the key time frame would be Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, Saturday overnight through about midnight. And let's look at the data and advance track in that time frame. And what you can see is as we look at 3 p.m., where I want you to focus on is the land between the lakes in southern and southwestern Kentucky. So Madisonville, Hopkinsville. Watch these storms start to erupt as we go. Now this is at 5 p.m. and I want you to notice something very specific about what the data is indicating here. Is it is showing individual cells. And you can see there's even these little tails on these individual cells. And that's because the wind energy is indeed supportive of rotating thunderstorms. And I think, in my opinion, some of these could produce damaging winds. And I will tell you, I don't think you can rule out an isolated tornado in this kind of a scenario. You can see at 7 p.m. we still see this scenario where the data is showing these individual style storms. And I think that's a key to this whole thing is some of these individual storms could produce localized severe, like I said, including damaging winds, and I can't rule out an isolated spin-up. What you'll notice is as we start to move a little later in the evening, you start to converge everything, and this is a stop at 11 p.m. into a line of strong to even some severe thunderstorms moving across the area. The wind energy remains highly favorable to support organized severe weather. The fuel's not superb, and you can see that, and our temperatures are not really that warm. But with the wind energy supporting, I can't rule out a couple of these at this point being severe. You'll notice by one, the intensity is indeed starting to come down, and you're transitioning as we go towards Sunday morning into a potential heavy rain threat for parts of the area, and then what you will notice is that wiggles back to the north. So I just want to show you rainfall potential on the NAM computer model as we go through the weekend into early next week, and you're going to see the NAM is showing really, really substantial rain in parts of the area. Does all the computer models show this much? No. It's important to note that you're seeing signals that are going to include some getting really heavy stuff. As we move towards the weekend, I want to show you the GFS and the European computer models as well. And what I'm going to do is put these on the map at the same time for you. And you'll notice they're in the GFS, it's showing less rainfall in southern Indiana. It's only showing about a ½ an inch, where the Euro shows 1 to 2. But you also can see that both of these computer models show a significant rainfall occurring along and south of the river as we move through this Columbus Day weekend. Heaviest will fall in waves between Saturday night and Sunday night, and I believe that the potential is there for some to exceed 4 inches of rain. So you've got the potential one to produce a lot of rain over the weekend. What is interesting is, since September the 1st, our heavy rain will have fallen in Nate, the remnants of Irma, and the remnants of Harvey. So in the course of 45 days, virtually all of our rain will have come from tropical systems, which I can tell you is pretty impressive. This doesn't happen every year. If your lawn's dried out a little, give me till Monday, and I think you're probably going to feel a little bit better. So quickly reminding you guys before we open it up to questions, and I want to spend some time on your questions. I know we have some strong to severe storms, and I know what people are going to ask is, my town, what should I expect, what time? And I feel like those are legitimate questions. So our goal tonight is to get up over 1,000 shares, guys. Everybody in here, if everybody in here shares the video basically 5 times, we'll easily make it up over. Thumbs up if you guys can commit to 5 shares per person. Let's get ourselves up over 1,000 shares. Let me update you on where we stand on our shares, and I would like to open it up to questions. I will also ask, if you're in here to troll and you're in here to cause problems, please, it's not needed, not wanted. Let's just all be nice. We're at 400 shares. We've got 15 minutes left in the video. Goal is 1,000. That's on you guys. Let's get ourselves up over 1,000 shares. Let's open it up to questions now. Pamela says, what does Kings Island look like on Sunday? It doesn't look good. You know, that is just simple. There's going to be rain on Sunday, and it's going to pick up in particular as you go into the afternoon and evening. 7 shares from Rachel. Thank you, Rachel. By the way, guys, after you share it 5 times, comment down below so I can give you a shout out. Tamara's asking about St. James timing. I would say if you go before 2 to 3 p.m. tomorrow, you're probably fine. As we move towards the afternoon and evening, the chance really comes up. 5 shares from Phyllis. Thank you, Phyllis. Jessica with shares. Thank you. Bonita's asking about Stephensport rain. Yeah, there's no question. Virtually all of our areas sees rain this weekend. Brittany's saying, just wonderful. My daughter's first birthday is on Sunday. Honestly, the afternoon on Sunday does not look nice. It just doesn't. It looks like waves of moderate to heavy rain. Somebody asked about October the 14th. Super long range, I don't spend too much time on, only because it's just not fruitful. But as we look towards next weekend, my sense right now is we're going to turn partly cloudy and be in the low 80s. That's kind of where we stand now. Pamela saying bummer, and I know it stinks. You know, I'm with you in that it stinks, but if you know it's out there, you know what could happen. You can plan around it, and I think you can still make it a wonderful birthday. Do I think there could be severe in Jeffersonville? I do. In my opinion, I would include you in a slight risk. Again, I don't agree with the Storms Prediction Center not placing us in a slight risk. Go figure. Seems like I never agree with them, but my goal is not to agree with anybody. My goal is to get it right, and that's it. And I think they're wrong in not placing us under a slight risk for tomorrow. They have us in their marginal threat. I feel like the marginal is a ridiculous category that should have never been included. Whose idea it was to put 6 severe weather categories blows my mind, but that's what they do. We show 3 because we think 3 is simple. That's the way it's always been, and that is a very easily digestible thing. If you say, Mark, am I going to see severe weather? And I'm like, well, let me tell you where you sit in one of the 6 categories of storms, and I think that basically confuses everybody, so we don't do it. Saturday, 11 p.m. I do think that there very likely could be storms Saturday night in Hardin County, yes. Brenda's watching tonight. Brenda, thank you, and I appreciate your loyalty. Tanya's saying, bring on the storms, a little time left for them, and I love it. Yeah, you know what? We are obviously changing seasons here, so those that enjoy thunderstorms, and You know, there was a time, I'm not going to lie, when I was a kid where I thought I really did like to see thunderstorms. As a 42-year-old man who covers severe weather, who has seen the destruction that can be caused by severe weather, I am just tired of it. So I get it, but at this point in my life, I don't want to see any more severe storms. I've seen way, way, way too much nastiness. Justin Santam, awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you, Justin. I'm going to update you guys on where we are in our shares. Remember, goal is 1,000. If we make it over 1,000 tonight, 108 in a row above 1,000. I believe it's 108. I'm going to go with 108 because that's what I think. Josh is saying best weather for the next 5 days in our region. I got to tell you, it is an unsettled period actually within our general region. So there's going to be potential strong storms tomorrow across our area. We get the remnants of Nate moving across our area on Sunday. There's going to be more rain and thunderstorm potential on Tuesday. So the weather's just not ideal right now, obviously. So Heather's asking if Disney World is in Nate's path. No, it's not. Doesn't mean that you won't see rain and thunderstorms, but the core of the hurricane would not be anywhere close. Campbellsville, my opinion is I would not place you in the organized severe weather threat. I think that threat would be better west and northwest of you. 7 shares from Maddie. Thank you. I promised you guys an update on the shares. Let me just get the browser a chance to upload here. We are at 632. 9 minutes left in the video, guys. I need 400 shares more. Everybody commits to 2 to 3 more shares per person in addition. We'll make it up over 1,000. My low battery light just came on. I'm going to protect us from the battery dying on us. We are now officially plugged in, so you guys won't just see your screen go black. Todd saying I'm going to Kings Island tomorrow. Is it a bad idea? I think that tomorrow evening there could be strong to severe. My opinion is Kings Island, it wouldn't get there until tomorrow later. I think the early part of that day probably for Kings Island is little issue. My feeling is if there were to be the stronger storms there, probably 7, 8 p.m., but I think the better chance would be west and southwest of that area. 10 shares from Heather. Thank you, Heather. Lanisha with shares, 10 shares. Thank you. Josh is saying, should I head north and west? Josh, I'm telling you, regionally, there's not great weather. Nate to the south. Nate comes into our area Saturday, Sunday. To the north, you see strong to severe storms tomorrow. Another storm comes in on Tuesday. So regionally, there's just not a lot of great weather. Tina with 30 shares. Thank you, Tina. Shirley's asking about the Bardstown Craft Show. So my feeling is tomorrow night and Sunday will be rainy. Amanda, do I think there'll be a lot of lightning? Actually, I don't. Will there be lightning? Absolutely. But you normally see those crazy lightning shows when you get higher fuel. We don't have a high fuel scenario on Saturday afternoon or Saturday night. So normally not looking at a ton of lightning in this kind of scenario. Bullitt County, my feeling is tomorrow evening would be the greatest chance. Tomorrow evening and tomorrow night for Bullitt County. I think that, you go towards mid-late evening would be the best chance of thunderstorms. Robbie's saying get a couple sprinkles in Jeffersonville. And yeah, it's one of the things we talked about in the news tonight, that a couple of these sprinkles and drops were possible. But really measurable rain's probably not going to occur tonight. How about Carrollton? I think tomorrow overnight would be the most likely on this initial, and then Sunday waves with Nate. Diane's asking about next weekend. Haven't put a whole lot of thought into next weekend, to be honest. 7-day cuts at Friday, so with an active weekend, I've been focused more on that. Clarksville tomorrow, noon through 3 p.m. I would put it at 20 to 30% in that time frame. Luann saying, welcome to October. And, we really need some of this rain. We haven't seen any in a while. It seems like this year we have seen all or nothing. And that's kind of what September was like. And we're starting October with nothing into a ton for the weekend. So it has been a period where you're either getting a ton of rain or you're getting absolutely nothing. Rylanda with 5 shares. Thank you, Rylanda. Salem, Indiana. My feeling is, I would watch very late tomorrow afternoon into the overnight. St. James Court Art Show on Sunday. Honestly, it doesn't look nice. I don't know any other way to put that. I don't think it's going to rain the entire day, but there's going to be waves of heavy rain on Sunday from Nate. So, you know, I wouldn't plan outdoor things on Sunday. That's just my 2 cents. Diane saying, always feel safe when you're watching over us. I appreciate that, guys. You know, I take my job very seriously. It keeps me away from things at times. It is not easy all the time to do what I have to do in my job. It just can be rather tiring at times because, you know, doesn't stop. It's a 24/7 job, and you know, my days off, a lot of time I'm focused on weather as well, which can take a real toll on you when you just don't get mentally some days to unwind. So it is hard, but I think, you know, the thing that's always helped me is I know how much you guys appreciate that. And that really is important to me, is to feel like my job, my life means something. And I enjoy the fact that you guys do, you know, really appreciate the hard work that me and my team put in. So I would tell you guys thank you for that. 755 shares. All right, guys. Let's focus here for a second. We got 4 minutes left in the video. We're 250 shares short. I would not like to end our share streak over 1,000 for the 108th night in a row. Please, let's get the shares up there quickly, guys. We need to get to 1,000 shares. We've got 4 minutes left. You guys each need to be stepping on the gas on our shares so we can bump the number up to 1,000. We are getting close. Everybody needs to do their part so we can get up over 1,000. Katrina's saying we appreciate you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Share from Judy. Thank you. Stephanie's saying I have plans, outdoor plans tomorrow evening and night, and I do think there could be strong to severe storms potentially in that time frame. Ariel is saying, can you see radar again? Honestly, there's nothing out there on radar right now other than a couple of light sprinkles, but I can pop it up there for you. Let me transition to radar real quick. And you can see behind me basically nothing. There's only some light sprinkles, and generally just in southern Indiana. Lanisha's saying I shared it literally 30 times more. I like that. I love that. Thank you. Teresa with 5 more shares. Thank you. Tina's saying, come on, guys, let's not break our streak. I agree. We've been over 1,000 shares since January. Who wants to start over again? Let's continue to move forward. Robbie's saying, still confused how I didn't win the Leo vote. And you know what? I appreciate it. I was voted 3rd best personality in Louisville. I think that's pretty cool. So, you know, if I didn't win, it's, you know, I just appreciate that you guys support me. And that's pretty much it. You know, I feel like that we know on a nightly basis from Facebook, from TV, who you guys are watching and supporting, and that means a lot to me, so that's important. Rachel's saying, folks, get jacked with my shares. I love that. I love that. If your friends are mad at you saying you're sharing too much, you're doing exactly the right thing. Marty's saying, I've shared to everybody. Thank you, Marty. Debbie with a share. Thank you. Matthew with 20 shares. Thank you. Amanda with shares. Thank you. 10 shares from Lanisha. Thank you. Rob's saying I'm his favorite weatherman. Thank you, Rob. I appreciate that. Bobby's saying I deserve number 1. You can't argue. You can't be mad. You know, just being voted in the top 3 in a market that is filled with super talented people is great. I mean, you guys, I appreciate it. So, yeah, Greg's saying 3rd is awesome, and I think it's totally respectable. I appreciate it more than I can say. How is Bloomington tomorrow for game time at 3:30? You know, I think 3:30 in Bloomington. My feeling is that there's potential for some showers in that time frame and some thunderstorms. I feel like past 6 o'clock the storm chance would go up more. And I do think some could be strong to severe. So that is something to totally watch for the IU game. We are running out of time on our Facebook video, so you guys need to be real active on sharing so we can get up over 1,000. Quickly, what am I going to be discussing on WDRB News at 10? 10 o'clock, top of the hour. There are some showers in the area. They're not heavy, but I'm going to be discussing who should expect showers tonight into early tomorrow if you're heading out to the first part of the St. James Court Art Show. On WDRB News at 10:22, I think there could be severe weather tomorrow. You guys have heard me discuss it. I think this is a possibility. I'm going to look at the new data. That rolls in starting at 9:30. I will have a chance to analyze it, and I will give you an update on WDRB News at 10:22 on severe weather potential for your Saturday. That's WDRB News at 10:22. And the remnants of Nate, what will likely be a hurricane, move into the Gulf Coast, and then move across our area, has potential for heavy rain on Sunday. I don't think it rains the whole day. I'm going to dial in when that rain is most likely for your area and give you rainfall totals for the whole area on WDRB News at 10:22. So set your alarm on 10, 10:22, and 10:37 so that you guys can jump over, get the weather information you need on I think it is an impactful weather weekend. And I will give you the updates at those times. I figure you guys are busy. I get it. So I try to give you the times exactly to tune in. Remember, guys, I love that you support me on social media. I also need you to support me on TV. You guys know the exact time to tune in. We have made it to 8:56. It's time to end the video. Did we make it over 1,000 shares for the 108th night in a row? Yes, we're at 1,100 shares. Guys, you are awesome as always. You guys really, on a nightly basis, blow it out of the water. So I appreciate you guys. Thumbs up and likes for yourselves. You guys are always great at throwing down the gauntlet on shares. I really totally appreciate it, and I love you guys for that. I'm going to rest my voice for a little while like everybody else. I am suffering from allergies from a period of no rain. I'll rest my voice for a little while. Remember, you can continue to like, love, and share the video, and I will see you guys on WDRB News at 10 o'clock.